This is the story of the Browning automatic rifle, a weapon that was supposed to revolutionize American infantry combat, but instead became one of the most controversial firearms in US military history. Designed by a genius, praised by generals, and cursed by the soldiers who had to carry it, the BAR is one of the most hotly debated military firearms ever fielded by the United States. Depending on who you ask, it was either a masterpiece of engineering or an outdated compromise that got men killed. In 1910, legendary designer John Moses Browning first conceived the idea of an automatic rifle that a single soldier could carry and fire while advancing on enemy positions. The concept was genuinely revolutionary. At the time, machine guns were massive, crew-served weapons bolted to heavy tripods, and Browning wanted to put that kind of firepower into the hands of one man walking across no man's land. Not a crew, not a team, one man. By February 1917, he had a working prototype, and the Army immediately ordered 12,000 from Colt. Production ramped up through early 1918. Winchester joined the manufacturing effort, and by summer the first BARs were arriving in France. Here's where things get interesting. The Army was so worried about the Germans capturing this new weapon and reverse engineering it that they actually delayed sending it to the front lines. Because of that hesitation, the BAR saw almost no combat in World War I. When it finally did see action in September 1918, one of the first men to carry it into battle was Second Lieutenant Val Browning, the designer's own son. Val and his men advanced on German positions, firing the M1918 with devastating effect and, reportedly, complete reliability. The French were so impressed they started swapping out their notoriously terrible Chauchats for bars. And a War Department official noted that even after days in the rain with no opportunity to clean them, the weapons invariably functioned well and were highly praised by the men who carried them. So if the BR was that good in 1918, why did everyone end up hating it? The answer comes down to one brutal reality. The BAR was designed as an automatic rifle, but the Army tried to use it as a light machine gun, and those are two very different things. When World War II broke out, the United States didn't have a proper squad-level light machine gun. What it had was the BAR. By 1940, the military introduced the M1918A2 variant, which actually removed the semi-automatic firing mode entirely, forcing the weapon into a role it was never built to handle. And when you force a tool to do a job it wasn't designed for, the cracks show fast. The problems were immediate and obvious. First, the weight, the M1918A2, tipped the scales at about 21 pounds, a beast to carry across a battlefield, especially with that bulky bipod hanging off the muzzle. The bar man would physically lag behind his squad unless everyone else slowed down to match his pace. And since it was so cumbersome, it usually got assigned to the biggest man in the unit, not because he was the best shot, but because he was the only one who could haul it without falling behind. Second, the magazine. The bar fed from a 20-round box. 20 rounds on a weapon capable of firing up to 650 rounds per minute, which meant a well-trained soldier could burn through an entire load in under 2 seconds of sustained fire. Reloading wasn't quick either. Every time that magazine ran dry, there was a window where the bar man was completely exposed and completely silent. Compare that to the British Bren gun with its 30-round magazines, or the German MG-34 and MG-42, which were belt-fed and could sustain fire almost indefinitely with proper barrel management. 20 rounds was simply not enough for a squad support weapon. Third, overheating. The bar had a fixed barrel, meaning you could not swap it out. Fire too rapidly for too long and the barrel would overheat, leaving you with nothing to do except stop shooting and wait. The Germans had solved this problem years earlier. Their MG-42 came with spare barrels and an asbestos mitt, so gunners could yank out a glowing hot barrel and slap in a fresh one in seconds. The bar offered no such option. In a sustained firefight, that wasn't an inconvenience. It was a death sentence. The result was an identity crisis that no amount of field modifications could fix. The bar was too heavy to be a good rifle and too limited to be a good machine gun, occupying an awkward middle ground where it couldn't excel at either role. One reviewer put it bluntly, the M1918. A2 is a pretty miserable weapon, easily obsolete by World War II, with features that are more handicap than benefit to the shooter. The reason this happened wasn't John Browning's fault. Between the wars, the United States War Department placed an incredibly low priority on infantry weapons research. The money went to warships, coast defense artillery, and aircraft, and nobody bothered to develop a proper light machine gun for the infantry squad. The British developed the Bren. The Germans built the MG-34 and then the MG-42. The Americans kept the BAR and called it good enough. So when the next war came, American soldiers went into battle with a weapon designed for the trenches of 1918, trying to do a job it was never built to do. Despite everything, the bar still worked. At Pearl Harbor, soldiers grabbed bars and used them as improvised anti-aircraft weapons against Japanese dive bombers. In the Pacific, Marines dragged them through jungles, through mud, through heat that would have broken lesser weapons, and the bar kept firing. In Europe, bar men pinned down German positions long enough for their squads to maneuver, taking on a suppression role the weapon was never supposed to fill. And when the Korean War broke out, just 5 years after World War II ended, there it was again. The same weapon, same 20-round magazine, same fixed barrel, now facing a completely different kind of war in frozen mountain terrain that made every one of its weaknesses worse. By that point, the bar was over 30 years old, and American infantrymen were still being handed one and told to make it work. As firearms trainer John C. Nystrom put it plainly, the two things that stand out about the bar are the massive advance it represented in 1918 and its reliability. It worked when it was needed. The problem was never the gun. The problem was the people responsible for replacing it who simply never did. And that's really the tragedy of the bar. It was a brilliant 1918 solution forced into a 1942 problem and then a 1950 problem after that. Not officially retired from US Army service until 1957, nearly 40 years of frontline duty for a weapon that was arguably obsolete before the Second War even started. The men who carried it didn't hate it because it was a bad gun. They hated it because it was a 21-pound reminder that their government hadn't bothered to give them the right tool for the job. John Browning designed a masterpiece for its time. The military just refused to let it retire when that time had passed. If you made it this far, you already know what to do. Like and subscribe. It helps more than you think.